Letters will be admitted in the record.
Madam Chair,
Senator Cruz, Senator Leahy.
it's interesting the junior senator from Texas has said that allowing felons to vote would, of course, benefit Democrats. I noticed that the state of Vermont has always allowed felons to vote and overwhelmingly elected a Republican governor in this last election, and has, even though we're the 14th state, we've only elected one Democrat to the U.S. Senate. So it certainly isn't something that might benefit just Democrats. But we are concerned when state legislatures across the country are pushing legislation to make it more difficult for the disabled, for shift workers to cast ballots, or inviting partisan poll watchers. That's not what's intended. I'd ask them to look at Vermont, where we have the most honest voting you can imagine. But I thank the witnesses for being here today. I hope we can stop this sliding backward in the face of a spree of voter suppression laws across the country. How do we make it easier, not more difficult, for our citizens to vote? The recent election cycles have seen dramatic increases in early person voting, especially during the COVID pandemic. It helped in rural areas like Vermont. We boast we can make voting easy, but also safe, secure, and legal. You can vote early. You can vote by mail. If you're homebound, you have a ballot delivered to you by 2 justices of the peace. Now, Ms. Benson, you serve the people of Michigan, a state in which backers of former President Donald Trump challenged the validity of your elections. And certainly parts of your population are as rural as Vermont. So I'd ask you, do you doubt the safety and security of your elections? And have you had any evidence presented to you or in the courts or anywhere else that mail-in early and absentee voting led to widespread fraud in Michigan's elections?
I thank you, Senator. You know, Michigan's experience has demonstrated that these policies can be implemented securely and effectively with an eye towards making sure everyone, citizens on both sides of the aisle, whether they live in rural or urban areas, can participate in their democracy. And, you know, I'll emphasize that when it comes to making sure that every valid vote is counted and that only valid votes are counted, these policies not only enable that, further that, but there's plenty of data, facts, and evidence to underscore exactly how to ensure that's the case. And you can look to not just Michigan, but states all around the country who've successfully ensured that people can vote securely through these provisions, and that they're administered securely to ensure that only valid citizens are able to, for example, register to vote automatically when they get their driver's license.
I think you've done it as securely as Secretary Condos in our state has done. And I think in many ways our state's a roadmap for the People Act. Now, Attorney General Holder, you and I have spoken many times about the Supreme Court's devastating decision in Shelby County that gutted Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. It led to a spree of state suppression schemes not seen since the Civil Rights era. In fact, some of them almost immediately after the case came down. For the People Act, is we're trying to ensure states are moving toward increased access, not less. But can we also make sure that under legislative action, states are already taking the actions and not penalized or unduly burdened? Should Congress consider some kind of certification process for states that show they're already meeting the voting access requirements of this legislation?
Yeah, I think having some kind of requirement that makes states prove that they are in fact following the intent of the law would be something that ought to be considered. I'm very concerned that after the Shelby County case, for instance, 1,700 polling places around the country were closed, and for no good reason. There are a number of things that happened post Shelby County that have hindered the ability of people, especially people of color, to get to the polls. And so having some kind of requirement that shows that states are in fact doing all that they can to make sure that their citizens have access to the polls, I think would be something worth considering.
Thank you, and I'll discuss that further with you one of these days we have a chance to talk, but I really appreciate the Madam Chair, I thank you for this hearing. I think it's vitally important.
Thank you very much, Senator Leahy. Next, Senator Wicker.